Hello and welcome back to our next part of our tutorial. So we had gotten to here, so our player is walking and then idle, walking and idle. And so we wanted to check the rest of our animations and add in a little bit of physics. So I've gone off and found my sprites. So I have I'm going to bring two in here. I'm going to bring in a box and I'm going to bring in a platform, and we'll deal with the box first. So we'll close up our animations here and we'll leave prefabs open because we're going to make some prefabs now. So we'll put both of these in here. So I'm going to take my box, I'm going to drag and drop it into my game. Here it is. Now, not a particularly beautiful box, but it'll do for what we're doing. I'm going to add a Physics 2D rigid body and Physics 2D box collider, which is slightly too big for the sprite, but that's fine. We're going to make this into a prefab. So create prefab, and we'll call it L1 because it's an L1 prefab, and we'll call it box. Okay, and then we'll take this box and we'll put it into the prefab, and then we can delete that and make an instance of it from the prefab. And when we press play, we have a box that has physics and we can walk into it and push it, but it's not playing our push animation, which is what we want to get going. So let's have a look at why that's not working. So in here, in our script, we have let's work with this one, push right. So Physics 2D line cast. So we've cast a line and we've said cast it from this position, which is the sprite, to the push end right position, which is a variable, a transform, and we've put an empty in. And in our game, if I open up the player, that's the empty. So it's going from there to the base of the sprite, that line. Now we've said that we want it only to recognize or to work on an object that that is on the layer push. So if the object we're pushing isn't on the layer push, then this won't work. And in a similar way for grounded, we've said it should be on the level, or on the layer ground and on push. So this is interesting. So if we put the box onto a layer called push, and then the player were to jump onto the box, the player could still jump, because grounded is needed if we look down here to jump. Okay, so grounded needs to be true. So otherwise this wouldn't be recognized, and it would only be able to jump from the ground. So which we could do if we wanted in a different game. So in this instance here, grounded is true when I line cast onto something, a collider that's on the layer ground or on the layer push. But the push animation, or this will only be triggered, push right will only be true when I collide with something on the push layer. So let's go set that up. So where is my box? There's my box here, and it is untagged and it's on the default layer. Everything in fact is on the default layer. So my player is on the default layer, and my everything's on the default layer. So let's take this prefab, actually do with the prefab, and change it to, I don't have a push layer, so I'm going to have to add that. Now these layers are already taken, so I can use layer 8. Now the capitalization is important, so it's a capital P for push. Okay, and I go back here, so I've only created the layer, I haven't assigned it, so now I can put it on the push layer. So we'll delete, so this box is now on the push layer. Let's take the ground here. So This is my level 1 sprite sheet. So I haven't used this, haven't set up my platform for the elevator or the boxes or anything else here. We're just getting sort of the basics of it done here. This is my corridor here, and I'm going to set this up on a layer called ground. So I'm going to add a layer, and I'm going to go ground, G-R-O-U-N-D, with a capital G. And again, go back to this one here and set this to be ground. Now we'll have to do that with the rest of them as well. So now we should get something different. So now when we collide with this crate, what we should get is this should be true, because the line cast will collide with a box on the layer push, and then this will be set to true. So instead of just this being correct and playing the walk animation, both of these will be correct, and then it'll play the push animation. So let's see if all of that works. So I walk, I push. I walk, and let's push, and off the edge. Very good. And I've disappeared. Very good. Yeah, so that works. So we have our push animation, our idle cycle, our walk animation, and it's only when we collide that actually is that animation is played. And then finally we should be able to jump. So there we can jump, and we have our jump animation. If we didn't label this one as a ground layer, then this jump animation wouldn't work. And let's there we go. Okay, excellent. So we can jump, we can push, we can walk, and we can idle. So we can play a range of our animations. The only one we haven't set up really is the death animation, but like I said, we're not going to do that just yet. So okay, so our physics is now pretty complete. We're not using this left one. We can use that for something else. So we can say, for example, we're going to be setting up sort of air bubbles that come into this layer, and we can say if this collides with one of them, that maybe I turn the character around to look at them. Or we can just delete it if we don't have functionality for it. It's my original intention for it was that we would have separate animations, one left and one right for the sprite. So it's slightly redundant for now. But this one here is fully working in order to get us to push, and this one here is allowing us to jump. So if I take my sprite actually, and no, I didn't take the sprite there. I took the ground. That's not what I wanted. So if I take this guy here and try and move him, hang on. Let's bring him up there. Move the box. No, that didn't work. Okay, so let's stop this and do this more easily. So if I just to show you him jumping on the crate. So I press play, and so in this instance here I can jump off the box because I've said in the script jump not only on the ground layer but also on the push layer, and there we go. The push layer is also is the layer that the box is on. Okay, so that's enough for now. And we have a relatively functional game sprite, or at least all the animations are being triggered at the right time. We need to refine the movement, refine the animations. We have a lot still to do, but that's enough for now.